Okay, recall. The one behavior we can teach our dogs that'll have the most effect on their entire lives. If they have a decent recall, it opens up so much for them. Having a decent recall means they get to be a dog. They get to explore the world. They get to have adequate exercise. I think we can all agree a good amount of exercise is only but good for us. It floods us, it fills us with happy endorphins. They need those endorphins in their life. It can fulfill them not only physically but mentally. Then at home, they've got much better chance of settling and not being a little coiled spring and a little so-and-so always nicking socks, always something to do. So if you're working on any settle behaviors, a good run can make a massive difference. We all know that feeling. If we are nice and fulfilled at the end of the day, we've done a fair amount of exercise, taken the dogs on a big walk, we want to settle and switch off just as much as them. So it can help with crate or that transition coming out the crate, setting the expectation of doing little to nothing at home, like the most of us. The less problem behaviors they express at home, the less they get to rehearse. I know this sounds oversimplified, but the more they do something, the more they do it. If the more they sit at home doing very little, the more they're going to relax at home. If the more they nick your socks, cushions, TV remote, have zoomies around the house, the more they're going to do that. So at home, it's going to be calm. So having adequate exercise and mental and physical enrichment can really help with that. Hello, everyone. Let's have a look. No comments yet. Who have we got here? Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. Just finished with the tracking class. Let me just close this off. I don't need that. We'll give everyone a couple of minutes before we dive into all things recall. In a field again. How's my sound? How's my signal? Is anyone there to chat? You might see Tilly or Wilson. Tilly's actually, she's way over there. In the background there, having some fun with me today. Okay. Hi, Lorraine. Right, let's get started, hey. Is my sound all right, Lorraine? Let me just turn this off so you can't hear me. Is my sound all right, Lorraine? Sounds okay? Super. Right, we're going to dive right in. This live's going to go up and stay up. Oh, hi, Helen. Hi, Lorraine. Okay, total recall. All things recall. We will be doing a Q&A at the end as long as we've got time. If not, pop your comments in the chat because I might do some follow-up videos on any particular issues, because if you're having that issue, so might somebody else. Oh, we got a couple of people here. Yep, sound is good. Super. Let's just hope the battery lasts. There's always something, isn't there? Okay, recall. The one behavior we can teach our dogs that'll have the most effect on their entire lives. If they have a decent recall, it opens up so much for them. Having a decent recall means they get to be a dog. They get to explore the world. They get to have adequate exercise. I think we can all agree a good amount of exercise is only but good for us. It floods us, it fills us with happy endorphins. They need those endorphins in their life to keep them sane, to keep them settled, to keep them neutral to a lot of behaviors. Okay. If they have adequate exercise and they have a good chance to run around and to be a dog, they have got less energy at home. And then other training and other training can just be bypassed. At home, they might not be up to no good. They might not seek other reinforcement. They might stop stealing your socks. When we're teaching them to settle, they're already tired, or a bit more tired than normal. They're already a bit more mentally fulfilled. I know a lot of you do scent work with me, or scent sports with me, whether it's tracking, man trailing, or scent indications, or scent work. It really tires them out. So being able to fulfill that on a walk and mimic whatever's going in their mind, follow whatever tracks or trails in their mind, it can fulfill them not only physically but mentally. Then at home, they've got much better chance of settling and not being a little coiled spring and a little so-and-so always nicking socks, always something to do. So if you're working on any settle behaviors, a good run can make a massive difference. We all know that feeling. If we are nice and fulfilled at the end of the day, we've done a fair amount of exercise, taken the dogs on a big walk, we want to settle and switch off just as much as them. So it can help with crate, or that transition coming out the crate, setting the expectation of doing little to nothing at home, like the most of us. The less problem behaviors they express at home, the less they get to rehearse. I know this sounds oversimplified, but the more they do something, the more they do it. If the more they sit at home doing very little, the more they're going to relax at home. If the more they nick your socks, cushions, TV remote, have zoomies around the house, the more they're going to do that. So at home, it's going to be calm. So having adequate exercise and mental and physical enrichment can really help with that. Also, that rest then leads to sleep. And we all know the difference from sleeping, say we normally get 8 hours, and reducing that to 4 or 6 hours. We are very different people. So imagine that accumulating over a month, 2 months, 6 months, 3 years. Our body's living on adrenaline, just trying to keep us going. And that's not necessarily a good thing. It's not a good thing at all, actually. It's really not. So sleep aids sleep. Like I said, the more they do something, the more they'll do it. The more they go at home and just switch off, relax and sleep, the more rest and recovery they have, the less problem behaviors they express. And also, after a good run, and we'll all agree or relate to this, food tastes a bit nicer. Food has a little more value. If we've climbed a mountain in the lakes, gone on a big hike somewhere, the food in that area tastes nicer than anywhere. It's the nicest fish and chips you've ever had. And that's mostly because you're tired. So then if food has more value, as a primary reinforcement, dogs already hold a lot of value for food, but if it holds a lot of value, we can use it for better training. So anything else we're working on, that food means that little bit more. And with that food meaning that little bit more, it can reinforce a behavior a little bit stronger, meaning they can learn a bit quicker and they can problem solve and push for that reinforcement a little bit more. All of this from being able to stretch their legs a little bit. And last is lead walking. For them to walk well on the lead, they need off lead time. If they are trying to expel all of their energy whilst on the lead, it's going to be very frustrating for them and very frustrating for you. They're trying to pull you left, right, and center because they're little coiled springs, and you're going, oi, no, heel, oi, no, heel, oi, no, heel, and it's very frustrating for both of you. And that is a terrible look for a walk. That is not why any of us got dogs. We want nice, calm, relaxing walks with them. But to get all these benefits, they need that recall. And that's what we're going to jump into now. How do we get there with it? And with recall training, I like to split it into a few different areas. To get the perfect, reliable recall in, lots of different locations and environments, distraction levels, playing with dogs, being around dogs, playing with humans, whatever's going on. Squirrels, not livestock, because if there's any livestock, they should be on a lead, full stop, even if they've got a very good recall. So my two, very good recall. Around any livestock, they're on the lead. I have to make that very clear. Okay. The first one is obedience response, their understanding of the cue, of what we're actually asking. And I break that down into two. Their response to name or whistle. So that means just like check in. It could be a full recall, but also not necessarily. For a strong response to name, and this ties in with, I call it the contrast, talking to them less. If they want to have a strong response to name, this will make you laugh. Write down how many times you say their name in a day. And then we wonder why they're not really paying attention. How can they differentiate from when we really need them and we're just yapping away, chatting away at them and kind of teaching them to ignore us? That's also tied in with timing. The second part of the recall obedience response, the operant response, is going to be how well they know their formal recall cue. So that isn't just a this way when you change direction or you come to a split in the path. This is come or here, where they're going to be ending up in the sit, present in front of you, the middle, between your legs, or in heel. How well do they know that position? How well do they know come? I find at a certain point, a lot of dogs recall to heel better than they do to come because they understand the heel position better than the front position. And it's our job to teach them. So 2 really easy bits of training here to get things started. I will do a full recall video which shows you the examples of this training, but we'll talk through it today. The first one is say their name less. Easy training. Second one is their response to name, and this is, you've probably seen it before. Throw a treat out to the right, let them sniff out, find it, call their name as soon as they've eaten it. As they're heading back towards you, throw a treat out to the left. This is working on that fast response and that conditioned muscle memory response to their name. And then the second part is their understanding of come. You will have all trained something with them that they like to show off, whether it's a high five, like a paw, a nose touch, a sit for good manners, Haiti. There's something, and when they know it well, that's the first thing they offer you. In other bits of training, I refer to it as the smart arse phase. When they're predicting what's going to come, you may have done it in this, doing a sit-down stand. From the sit, they're going straight into the down because they know what's coming next. And that predictability and that confidence is what we want in their obedience response to recall, their understanding of the formal recall cue, come or here. With that, I have a treat in both hands, hands out to the side, bring your hands in and feed them right at you. I don't ask for a sit, but I might lure them into the sit. That sit just means that they're keeping their butts still. They're not just going to bounce off you and head away. So if anyone knows what fly ball is, or watched any fly ball, you're not a fly ball box where they just bounce off you, take the treat and disappear. The formal recall is they come to you and wait. So what I'd ask you guys, just to ask yourselves, what does your formal recall mean exactly? And if you guys aren't 100%, there's no way your dogs know. It's not just head over. It's something that's going to be black or white to them. It's not just a grey area where it's kind of head this way. I'd give that a this way cue, and I think we all know that means you come to a split in the path. You're going left, they've kind of head off right. You go this way, they follow you over. And the next one, and I think this is it's tied in with everything, but I think this is the hidden part. I think this is the secret ingredient which isn't spoke about enough. And this is their emotional response to us. Do they want to hang around with us on a walk? When we engage with them, is it special? Are they excited to hang out with us? I'll talk about that a bit more in a second. I did touch on timing a little bit as well. This ties back into those special moments. If we're always calling them away from things they like, we become a negative. Us interacting with them is them coming away from something they're interested in rather than coming to something they're interested in. And that's what kind of leads into the contrast I'm talking about, you'll hear me talk about. The contrast on a walk is, with my two, I might not speak to them for 20, 30, 40 minutes at a time on a walk. I'm communicating, because if I change direction, they change direction with me, but I might not address them at all. In suitable places, that's their time to run, explore, and be a dog. And we want that with all of them. I'm going back to in suitable places. But when I do engage with them, or when we do engage with them, we want to be these special moments with us. We want to be fully present with them, so they're fully present with us. This can be built in a number of ways, but I'll jump back to that. Because that's how timing, if we are asking them to come away from something when they're really invested in it, we're teaching them not to listen to us. Meaning that we call them 3 times and they go, well, I don't have to come until I'm ready. They might not necessarily be thinking that, but that is what's playing out. All right. Everyone keeping up with this? So this is split down into their obedience response, their emotional response, our good timing, the contrast on the walk. So actually, the environment is secondary to these moments with us. And then going to suitable locations and having proper management. It's not about just letting them off and hoping they get it right. It's maybe using enclosed fields for a little bit, quiet corners of fields, the beach on a Monday at 6 a.m. and using long lines. Okay, long lines aren't a perfect tool, but what it means is if they're not responding on their first cue, you can reel them in and help them get it right every time. So at least they're not rehearsing the not listening to you. As I keep saying, I've said a couple of times, the more they do something, the more they'll do something. The more they respond first time, the more they'll respond first time. The more they respond on the 12th time and you shout, change tone, and swear, the more they're going to respond on the 12th time when you shout, change tone, and swear. Okay. Let's dive into a little more of the training again. I went into it a little bit with the obedience response, and that's kind of self-explanatory. How well do they know it? 2 exercises for that is your response to name left to right. There's plenty of others. I'll do a full breakdown video of this. I might even do a class and film it as a little mini course on YouTube. If you're interested, let me know. If you're interested in being in it, let me know, and you might be one of the dogs in, as long as you're local to Southport. So where are we? Their obedience response. And the next one, as I say, this is probably the big one for me, and I think this is the secret ingredient and the missing ingredient for a lot of dogs, is their emotional response to us and the recall. Making those moments with us special. And how do we do it? If you're trying to stuff a treat in their nose, they're not interested. If you're trying to stuff a toy in their mouth, they're not interested. So that's step 1. We need to give them a reinforcement that they want to seek more of. I'm going to refer to this as play, but play can be many things. Play's not necessarily with a toy. It's more, let me rephrase that, it's more the interaction with us. Whether it's chasing a tug or chasing a toy. Whether it's playing tug with us. Whether it's chasing a treat around. Instead of just handing it to them, they chase it. We're creating a bit more of an emotional response to it, a bit more of some happy endorphins involved there. Or it's interactive. We come down to them, we give them a good stroke, give them a fuss, tell them how amazing they are, take 2 steps back, exactly the same again. The 2 steps back is to see actually how much are they enjoying it. If they dive on you with those 2 steps back, carry on. This is where the contrast comes in though. After maybe up to 10 seconds of this, you're going to leave them high. You're going to leave them wanting more at the peak of the game, and then you're going to say nothing. It's quite important here not to release them. You want to leave them hanging. If you release them, you're kind of giving them a cue to go away. You've told them the game's finished. But if they're not quite sure if it's finished or not, next time you call them, they're going to be twice as quick to come in and play. Oh no, I hadn't finished. Right, let's go in and play. To build this value, it's in those short games and those short interactions. If the environment's too distracting, it starts at home, then in the garden, and then in the quiet corner. For some dogs, they go, you've never played with me on a walk, I don't understand this. But remember, there's a couple of different ways to play. It's not just playing tug, and it's not just chasing a ball. We want them to be a special interaction with you. And when you cut them short, wanting more, they're probably going to do one of two things. You get yourself a little Velcro dog, where they are staring at you, sticking to you, they're not wanting to move away. That's great, that's reinforcement working, that's the training working. They go, God, I like that, let's carry on. But you totally ignore them. Don't praise them or reward them for this. This is their free time. But they're still thinking about that tuggy, they're still thinking about the food, they're still thinking about that interaction with you. So it's not just handing them a treat, it's them chasing a treat, them interacting with you for it, luring them about a little bit. Make it high intensity, that's when the endorphins come in. You get that with tug, but you can still get that with food, and you can get that with fuss and play. Like, again, I'll do a separate video for this, but some of you might know what I mean. Me and Tilly go boxing. You know, she's jumping all over me, and you know, she doesn't have a problem jumping up anyway. So maybe you wouldn't do that if they did like to jump up in general. But she likes to box and jump up, and we have a whale of a time. So she can be reinforced in many ways. She likes food, she likes tug, and she likes that personal play with me. So if you have all three, even better, but experiment. What do they like the most? Some of them, it might not be really high intensity, but you might sing to them, oh, amazing, super, aren't you just the best dog ever? And they just go, yeah, I am. And they want more of that. Whatever that interaction is, what they want more of, that's what we need to figure out first. And that's the emotion that's going to be linked to it. So they're either going to stick to you, and if they do stick to you, looking up, going, please play with me again, you're just going to ignore them until they look away. The second they look away, you're going to call their name. You're not going to give them the formal recall. You're just going to call their name, because it's the interaction. It's not the obedience. This is the emotion. This is the interaction. And you're going to have a good play for no more than 10 seconds again. Or a good, happy interaction for no more than 10 seconds. And then you're going to cut them off. The next time, they're going to spend a bit longer before they look away, because they're going to go, I know what you're going to do. And this is that smart arse phase, which I referred to. This is them going, I know you're going to play with me again. I know that toy's there. I know you've got food in your pocket, or I want more of it. This is the positive reinforcement. This is the effect of the emotion we're drawing out of them, and the fun of that interaction. But you still wait for them to turn away. And when you do, when they turn away and you call them, they'll turn around and go, I knew it. I knew it. And that predictability and that confidence, and then having that play confirms it all, that will do wonders for when you extend that. When you call them, they're going to be like, wow, finally I get to go play with mum or dad or whoever. So this is when, and you've probably heard the saying, to have a good recall be the most interesting thing in the field. And it's kind of true, but it's not in the moment. It's built up over hours of play, weeks of repetition, and months of this training, of these emotional responses. For some dogs, it's easier than others, but this is your starting point for that emotional response. The second thing they might do, though, is just wander off and go, that play was nice, but it's not my favourite thing. Let them wander off, let them have a little bit of a sniff, and then this is when your timing comes in. If they're intently sniffing a post or a leaf or whatever, wait. As long as it's a safe environment, just wait. As soon as their head pops up or they start trotting along, you're going to fire in, call them, and have a really, that high intensity, fully present, that's the main thing, you're fully present with them, they're fully present with you, interaction with them. Then cut them short. So that 10 seconds might be 3 seconds. You've got to leave them at the peak of the game, not when they're getting bored and just choosing to kind of go away. That's the moment when you're trying to stuff the treat back in the mouth and you're trying to stuff the tuggy in the mouth. There's a saying I go to here, but this actually did happen. The rabbit or the squirrel never jumps into the dog's mouth. But I can't remember who it was. I think it was a little whippet. A rabbit, sorry, did actually basically jump into the dog's mouth. So it can happen. 1 in a million though. 1 in a million. Imagine that poor rabbit. And this is how we build the contrast anyway. Just saying less, doing less, letting them explore the safe environment, whether it's an enclosed field to begin with, having them on a long line, so when you do call them, they're going to get a chance to ignore you, and having this strong, joyous, adrenaline, dopamine fueled interaction with them, and then cutting them short. So you're all in or you're all out. Touch briefly there on timing, because this can really make or break your recall. If they are really sniffing something and you only recall them when they're really interested in something, it's a negative. A recall is them coming away from something they like. And we don't want that. We want the recall to be always coming to you and you meaning more. The environment is secondary, not the environment is primary and we're the annoyance in the background. This then comes back around to kind of the contrast and the communication. If we're talking to them the whole time, how do they know when to listen? How do they know which 100th time of saying their name is the one where we really mean it? And right. And suitable locations. This one should be common sense. This isn't me saying, okay, just go let them off the lead anywhere. They need to have a run. A suitable location could be an enclosed field, but not forever, just as you get the training going. To start doing patterning some of these behaviors. A little saying, if pattern behaviors become permanent, you have to challenge them a little bit, but that's why we have the long lines. So you can maybe go back garden, enclosed field, then quiet corner of the field at a early morning or midday through the week. Then you'd slowly add your distractions in. I think group classes can be great for this because they get to learn to be neutral around other dogs, and not every other dog is a playmate. So practicing around other like-minded people, whether it's in a group class or it's just friends you know with dogs who are all on board. But it's that rehearsal, and it's that rehearsal of you being more important, not in the moment, but over the days, the weeks, the months. And that's where the contrast is. Okay. That's how I break down a good, solid recall. It's not just that understanding of come and they must come. That is important, and you say come, they must come. But you have to ask for it, not just when they're about to roll in the dead seal on the beach, not when they're really intently sniffing a post covered in pee. That's, they need to stay up to date on the pee mail. But when their head pops up, a great way of reading that is that response to name game. When you throw the treat out left, they hunt for it, let them sniff it out. Don't rush it. You know how much they like sniffing. They find it, they eat it. So that game, I think it's multi-layered in how it's reinforcing. Most dogs like to chase, most dogs like to sniff out. So they chase the treat, they sniff it out, they eat it, and the whole thing starts again. It gets them spinning 180 degrees. So that's your muscle memory response. That's their obedience, also the come. So they actually know what come and here means. And if you guys don't, they've got no chance. Their emotional response. Do they want to hang around with us? So why would they want to hang around with us? Because we offer this game of play, this interaction, this fun, and we always cut them short. We always leave them wanting more. Good timing, contrast, and suitable locations. Super, guys. I think I've covered all my notes on this. Has anyone got any questions other than the cheese game? And you can hear me. So just out of interest for everyone who's tuned in, how many of them aren't off lead, don't have off lead time? that's okay. I'll cover this in an actual training video when I'm out with anyone local who wants to do some recall training. Mine know it, so I can show you the exercise, but we can't show you the path there in the progress. Another little saying I like is if you don't walk away, we can't teach them to follow. If we are always following them around, they are never getting used to following you around. And that can just be through body language. Like I said with mine, I might not interact with them for 20, 30, 40 minutes at a time, but I'm communicating the whole time. I change direction, they're checking where I am, and they're following whichever way my shoulders are going. If they are looking for you more than you're looking for them, so if they look at you 20% more, so at the minute it's like 80% you're looking at them, 20% they're looking at you. If they're now looking at you 40%, I guarantee their recall will be 20% better. So if they're looking at you 20% more on the walk, their recall will be 20% better. That's science. Put me to the test. Let's have a look, see if we can get it right. Okay. Okay, Helen, I'll ask you quickly, if you were to just reply to your comment, are they never off lead ever, or never off lead in public places? Jane, send me a message and we can maybe be the student for my next video, where we can start working on these things and seeing them in practice. Jill. Sorry, the comments are flying in now. When you leave them wanting more, how do you handle it when it tips into them being frustrated? Right, so this is potentially a controversial word, frustration. But a little bit of frustration really builds motivation. So with Rox, if she's got if she gets frustrated easy, you would then potentially use a go sniff cue. It's all based on their response to us. If you call her name and she's listening full stop every single time she turns, you would then release her off. So with mine, it'd be go play, go sniff, because if I call them, they're going to come. They're going to respond 99.9% of the time. A little bit of frustration, though, you build that contrast, that frustration of wanting more, and you just ignore potentially the jumping up, or the mithering for the toy or the food, and even the odd little bark. I would ignore that, because they are pushing you, and you go, right, well, I'll decide when we're going to have this interaction. As soon as she disconnects, hey Rox, or hey Wilson, hey Tilly, and then have a little play again, or have that interaction again. Okay, Lorinda. My girl is great when it's just us, but we add something, sorry, it's flicking around, add something exciting, another dog too near, horses, etc. And she often doesn't listen. So again, around any kind of livestock, especially large animals like horses, I would have them back on a lead. So you'd hopefully be in an environment, if you're around horses, I know they go on the beach by us, so you can see them from quite a way away. And if you're unsure, just call her back, have her on the lead before she's having to make that choice of the horse or you. If she's not responding when there's less distractions or at certain distances, you go back a little bit, you have her on the long line, or you make the environment a little bit easier. You go at slightly different times of the day, or you go to a quieter location to help her get it right 100 times in a row, then revisit. But with horses, yeah, just straight back on the leads. Hopefully you can see them far enough away. And if you're, I don't know, in certain country parks where they might just be about, I'd have them on the lead. You don't want to be upsetting any horses or horse riders. I don't know them personally, but it was one of my mum's friends when I was young growing up. Her dog got kicked by a horse on a local walk to us, and the dog had to be put down. So we don't want to take any risks there at all. And if it's going to be distance from dogs, I'd say things like group classes, long line, and working her at the edge of her threshold. So if she's 20 meters away, she always wants to run over. You're going to practice at 30 meters away until she's like 90 to 100%. And then that 30 becomes 25. That's also working on everything that I've been spoken about, how well she understands it and how much of an emotional response she has to us engaging. And that might be engaging less. So it might feel like she's more distracted in the environment, but when we do interact, she's got a nice, fast response to us. Okay, Paulie, Tante would benefit practicing some recall, so we can implement some of these. Maybe I'll put a little class on so we can have some controlled distractions, as long as everyone's local. So, Helen, they're never off lead in public places. They go to enclosed field every now and again for off lead play. So, where I'd be practicing there, Helen, as long as it's appropriate for them to be off lead in public places, because you don't know what distractions may crop up. This is when we want the right management, picking the right places, and making sure they know what we're asking, and having the long line as a backup if needed. I would rehearse your recall, so their response to name, their understanding of the obedience, and those happy endorphin-fueled encounters with us. Play, whether it's play with toy, play with you, play with food, something that's going to really leave them wanting more. What I will say here though is there's times where we've got to trust our training and give them the chance to go off lead, but you know, I would say go management first. Make sure they know it well every step. This is a proper life skill. I spoke about all of the benefits from it at the beginning. You know, more relaxing at home, better sleep, so better rest recovery, better decisions at home, less problem behaviors at home. Food means more, so that actually means we can, you know, we can accelerate our recall training by just giving them a bit of extra time off lead. Another thing is, the first time they start going off lead in new places, the environment's going to be very novel. So they might have the zoomies for like the first 10, 20 times they go off lead. That's when you need to be somewhere enclosed or safe. Once that off lead time becomes less novel, because when they've got the zoomies, they're not going to be learning either way. So that needs to be somewhere safe, but we don't want that to be their expectation of the walk. But the reality is they go somewhere new, the beach, for example, because there's really loads of nice walks around the dunes and the beach around where I live. They get sand under their paws and they get the zoomies. It's fine. We want them to be excited about these nice places, but if that's their first time off lead, how much are they rehearsing, just really not listening to us? Okay, Jane, you may have covered this, but did you say we should be using a release word after we've called them and not just them disappearing off? Yes, so if we're giving them their formal recall, so it's name, so it'll be like, Wilson, come, comes to front position, look at you, see, he knows it well. They come to front position, it then becomes an implied sit and an implied stay. So they might bounce off you a little bit, but then you might go, they get to you, 1 treat, 2 treat, 3 treat, interact, lure them into the sit, pause, okay. I wouldn't give them a treat after the release cue, leave them wanting another one, leave them wanting a little bit more play. But if you're just working on their emotional response and you've had a high intensity play, I would cut it off without saying anything. Kind of leave them hanging a little bit. So if it's a formal recall and you've got that sit and they've come and they've presented nicely, reward, they need to be released before they head off again. You can extend that by just adding a couple of treats, having a little bit of play, but you've got to be working on both calm, formal, obedience. That's when you might do just a simple sit, stay, come, reward, because it's not emotion fueled, it's just creating the picture that we want come or hear means, and then release them afterwards. So that's it. Okay, now you can go play, you can do whichever. But again, if you're building on the emotional response and you're having a high intensity game of play, I would just kind of leave them hanging, because they're like, have we finished? I'm not sure. So they're still thinking about it. As they head off into the environment, you call them, they go, no, we hadn't. Cool, let's go play again. Hopefully that answers your question there, Jane. Any more before we finish up today? Thank you for the questions. Very, very good. Give me something to talk about. T wants to go home. Thanks, I'm doing gentle. Thanks, I'm doing gentle collar grabs at the moment with the young one. I will add a middle then release. Yeah, so collar grabs can work really well, as I said, with a recall. Excuse me. You want them to really understand it, and I said sometimes a middle or a heel, they understand it better than come, because the reality is most owners don't know exactly what come means, so there's no chance that their dog does. Collar grab is very, very, it's very clear. It's come here, I'm going to take you by the collar, and then we're going to go. That's a really good one for recall, because it means we can actually get hold of them. And then I said with come, we want them as close as possible. A recall's no good if they get 5 yards away and we can't get hold of them. If we have to take those 2 steps towards them and they take 4 steps backwards, it becomes that game of the 5-yard dance, which we never, ever want to get in the habit of, because then it becomes a very frustrating but fun-fueled game. And for them, not us. There's not much you can do right in those moments. That's when management comes in. So I'd do a collar grab, maybe then lure to the sit, or maybe when you just let go, wait a split second, then go, okay, and maybe just throw a treat away so it's nice and clear that they've been released. Hope that makes sense. Super, everyone. I'll give everyone a couple more minutes before I head off. I've probably got another 5 minutes anyway before the shadow comes over. Maybe 10 minutes before the shadow comes over, but I think I'm due a beer now. Obviously, if you didn't tune into this live, but you're watching it a couple of days later and you are interested in being a part of, we'll pick maybe 3 or 4, where I might do a little video series of how to build this, how we can reinforce in different ways, and how each dog needs a slightly different recipe, same ingredients, but slightly different building blocks to put it together. Let me know, whether it's a comment or a direct message, and I'll try and put something together, because I think that'll be valuable for everybody. Super. Me and the guys, come on, we are gonna head off. Come on, Will. Super. Right, thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate it. I'll see some of you tomorrow, and